For the Weird Al movie. Now, did Dusk and Hunter, you both guys saw it? Or did only one of you?
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get. I haven't had a chance to watch anything this week because, sicky. So no, I didn't get a chance to see it yet.
Okay. And Dusk.
I've watched everything on your list.
Okay, so Weird Al. Weird Al is the story based on the life of Weird Al Yankovic, starring Daniel Radcliffe. Very, very loosely based. I think the only thing true about this movie is that there was a guy at one point in time named Weird, who became Weird Al Yankovic. That's probably about it.
Pretty much.
So it's very much a parody movie of, you know what I mean, biopics, or is it biopics or biopics? Do people say either or is it?
It's technically biopic.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's like
weird.
it's like how a GIF is actually GIF. It's
Yeah.
technically pronounced as that. It's technically called biopic, but don't worry about it.
Yeah. So it's very much a parody of kind of a lot of those things. There's been parodies before of biopics, of things like Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox Story, with John C. Reilly, which I was a big fan of. I thought that movie was pretty funny. A lot of people thought, how would Daniel Radcliffe do? It seems like an interesting choice for him to play Weird Al. And Daniel Radcliffe post Harry Potter has been doing a lot of interesting stuff with his career, playing a lot of different roles, in Swiss Army Man. So he's been, and then what was that movie where he had the guns taped to his hands? What was that movie called?
Kimbo.
Kimbo. So yeah, he's been doing a lot of kind of different interesting stuff. Post
Miracle Workers kicks ass. That's, if you're not watching Miracle Workers, people, you should be watching that show.
Oh, that is a good show. Yeah, Miracle Workers is a good show.
Yeah, 4 seasons of that shit. Yeah,
I was impressed. I was actually impressed that it got that many.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're starting season 4, season 5. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good for them.
It's Mad Max themed. So.
Oh, very nice. Okay. So he's been doing a lot of interesting stuff, and I think this adds to the collection of interesting things that he has done playing Weird Al. This is a Roku original film. Roku, as many people probably know, is like the like the Fire Stick people have. I didn't know that Roku had its own channel. I just thought it was like a box like that people use, like kind of like the Amazon Fire Stick, but apparently it has its own channel and it's getting into original films now, original content. Everybody's trying to do original content streaming stuff now. Everybody's trying to do that now.
Are they ever?
And with this, I think they succeeded. I think this is really very funny. I think that Daniel Radcliffe, because this is, like I said, very much a parody of a lot of these biopic films, playing on those tropes. And when you watch enough of these movies, these other kind of biopic films, they try to do different interesting things with them and try to find new lanes with these movies. But eventually it kind of all follows similar down the same path of, like, you have a person who maybe had a rough childhood, then they, become successful, then they kind of develop an addiction. You see their rise to fame, then their eventual fall to fame because of their addiction. Usually it's because of drugs or sex or alcohol or all three combined. Then they fall off, then they come back again at the end, and then you're rooting for them, and so you kind of have that. So you kind of follows those kind of traditional things, and it kind of plays with that. And where this kind of goes is really funny, how they kind of play with that formula, especially when you see his early life with his family. The actors who play his mother and father, is just a lot of great stuff with them. Them just straight up saying, it's like, well, I think we all just come to an agreement that you would just be better off if you just stop being who you are. The thing that makes you happy in life, we don't want that for you. So just stop doing that. Is that all right with you? You know what I mean? And and them treating like him playing the accordion like it's like him shooting up heroin, like it's this dark, dirty secret or something like that. Like he's, you know what I mean? Other kids are looking at Maxim magazine. He's looking at a guy in Playboy. He's looking at accordion magazines and sneaking it in books and things like that. So I think all that stuff is pretty good, and then you have Evan Rachel Wood who's in this, and you have a lot of other celebrities who kind of come into this who play, other big musicians. Like you have Jack Black who shows up in this, and Evan Rachel Wood who has a prominent role in this as Madonna, who's like at that point she kind of becomes his addiction at a point where she begins a relationship with him, and she looks pretty good as Madonna. I think she actually looks really good as her.
She looks
Yeah,
fine.
she does.
She looks fine as Madonna.
Yeah.
It's really eerie. It's a little eerie, honestly. Like it's like when what's her name, like I think it's Lily Collins played Pamela Anderson recently in Pam and Tommy, and you kind of go,
Yeah.
you, like double take. You're just like, oh shit, looks just like her. Like it's kind of uncanny, and I'm kind of remembering that I did actually see it. It's just been a couple weeks, but yeah, she's basically the villain in the movie, and it's kind of crazy how nuts she gets and how far they take it. But that lends itself to the humor of the movie overall.
Yeah. I've been talking about this movie a lot. Dusk. What did you think about the film?
The movie you mentioned beforehand, the Dewey Cox story, is an apt one. It does very feel in that same line of making fun of the beats of any biopic, from the family that's disappointed in him to eventual. They even joke on the well, it takes a lot of hard work and dedication for us to ultimately do it, and then all of a sudden, oh no, he's an overnight sensation. So they make fun of the timing, circumstances. It's very much a tongue-in-cheek kind of movie. There's even one part. There's a famous party scene that happens where,
Oh, good.
my goodness, there are so many references just in that party that I was noticing. I actually have a little list based on the credits. If you just the many different things, there are some that aren't even credited in the background. Some close to Weird Al and some not. That this movie is very much making fun of every aspect of a biopic film. And honestly, knowing Weird Al's history and comedy and let's be honest, they make a joke of this in the movie, but he's made a career on parody songs.
Yes.
No, that's unheard of. How many other artists have been consistent for 50 years in the mind's eye of media, and just everyone knows who Weird Al is, no matter what the generation? That's pretty rare. He's actually lasted longer than some of the acts he's parodied.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite amazing considering the very niche genre he's been in. And I think the reason he's persevered for so long is just how many niche comedy acts he's known and gotten to know over time and have welcomed him in. I mean, even in his own breakout movie, which didn't go well, UHF, he had people like Emo Phillips and many other different oddball / out there comedy that would be there to cameo in. And that's the same true in this biopic. He also has characters that you wouldn't expect to see in a Weird Al movie, but also why not? Why not? It's just, sure, Weird Al's there. Why not? So, this movie doesn't take itself seriously, not for a moment. Right from the very beginning to right from the very end, it has actually a hilarious ending that actually caught me off guard.
Yeah, the ending's great.
Where I was like, oh, okay, we're just gonna do that. All right. Right even to the ending credits. Even as the ending credits are going, he even makes fun of the type of music that would play there, and it's a good, and I appreciate that aspect. But I will say, if you're not really a big fan of Weird Al, or you're not quite into this, or in comedy aspect, or you're gonna miss a lot of the jokes or smaller jokes in it, and it may not be your type of movie. For people who are and real kind of want to see a Weird Al movie, this is pretty much what I expected you could really do with a Weird Al movie, and just be completely unabashedly nuts and just going for it and making a lot of comedic moments that make absolutely no sense, only to probably Weird Al and the group of people who made it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as far as its accessibility to other people, whether or not, if a person never even heard of Weird Al, could they just watch this with no problem and get into it? I don't know per se. I mean, I knew Weird. I know of his, parody stuff before this already. Like some of his biggest one, like a Surgeon and Fat. And it's fun. They do a funny thing with like the whole him parodying Michael Jackson in this. They do like a funny bit with that.
Yeah.
That kind of goes on. And then Amish Paradise is, what I mean, a big one there. So, as far as this accessibility to other people who don't know of Weird Al per se, would it be enjoyable? Yeah, I mean, I think it's still just a good time and something that goes by pretty fast. I think, you know what I mean? It has a good runtime.
It does, surprisingly.
And it doesn't overstay its welcome. I think, which is typically what you kind of worry about with a movie like this, is that it, may stay on for too long, and then it's like, okay, well, the joke is done. Now you're just running into the ground. But I think it ends good, and it ends at a good time, and especially the way it ends too is very crazy, and it's like, oh, you're ending on that note, which was pretty funny. And then all the other kind of other kind of big name people that kind of come through here as cameos, I think do a good job. Like I mentioned Jack Black, but there's some other name kind of celebrities that kind of come in the movie as well, that do a very good job for the little bit that they're in here. I mean, I had a really good time watching this. I mean, this was a big surprise. I really wasn't expecting much from this, honestly. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, maybe it'll turn out. I mean, it's a Roku original. What the hell have Roku ever done? What the hell they ever done? But I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. And definitely a movie I would kind of like to go back and go see again, just to check it out and check out all the different other funny kind of references they probably threw in there as well. So for me, I would give it a strong tune in. Dusk, what about you?
Yeah, if you're not the biggest fan of Weird Al, you're probably not going to get that much of a big laugh from this. But I still think even if you aren't, it's going to be a bit of absurd enough that's going to catch you off guard anyways, even if you don't get all the smaller references. And I hope that also incentivizes you to go, what is all this? And so you kind of look up on your own time. It's going to be quite the rabbit hole. And if you are a big fan of Weird Al, I think this should just be a nice little thing for people who are, and will add to his many, many different appearances and many different comedy things he's done. So yeah, I think this is definitely a kind of a, if you can rent it or see it, I think it's a solid tune in. It's not the funniest movie I've seen this year, but it was a nice one. I was actually delightfully surprised by it, and I did laugh quite a bit at a few points, just at the actors and how well it was kind of played off. And Daniel Radcliffe does a pretty good job all throughout to kind of carry this more absurdist version of Weird Al, while still also kind of being charming in his own way.
Yeah. And I'd be happy if I was Weird Al Yankovic, Daniel Radcliffe playing me, because I don't think Weird Al was ever that ripped. Because Daniel Radcliffe is.
Oh no.
I don't think he was ever that ripped.
No, he was a skinny man, and I mean he should also be happy. He allegedly dated Madonna during a longtime fiasco, who was secretly the love of his life.
Yeah.
So.
Which I guess could be part. Madonna, didn't she date everybody in the '80s? She dated everybody in the '80s, didn't she? So I guess
Madonna, yeah. Madonna dated Pac. Weird Al would have a chance.
So why not?
Anything's possible, really.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I bet Wilson is great in it too.
Funny enough, I don't know if this is true, but I know Weird Al has always been a kind of classic guy. Even when he asked for every parody, he would ask permission of the artist before he would parody their songs, and if he didn't get an approval, he wouldn't do it. I wonder if he asked Madonna, "Hey, in this movie, we're gonna do this. Are you okay with this?" And knowing Madonna, she probably was like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah, sure.
I feel like feel like no is not a word Madonna uses often. And I mean, have you heard her rap? I mean, so
No, I fortunately I
some of
have
the
not.
parody, she was like, yeah, you're lucky. But yeah, to echo everything you guys are saying, it's a strong tune in. I think, I think, I think this will give people, even if you're not a fan of Weird Al, this might be enough to make you kind of go, okay, like what has he done? Because the catalog of Weird Al is kind of insane when you start
Yeah.
going through all the parodies and you realize how much shit uh, he's done and how he's still touring and
Yeah.
still,
Oh yeah.
pops up on like Comedy Bang Bang and stuff like that. You're
He's
like,
a legitimate good. He's a legitimately skilled artist and a good musician. He has pitch perfect hearing. He has really good. He's a really good composition. He's a talented accordion player and multiple instrument player. He's a generally talented guy who just happens to also be really into comedy. And some of his own songs are actually more interesting and more fun than the stuff he parodies.
Yeah.
yeah, the
like,
Star Wars one is yeah. I'm blanking on the name. I should know it, but
American
yeah,
Pie parody.
yeah, that one is fucking incredible. That was actually the first Weird Al song I heard.
Mm.
And then I went back. So, but yeah, he's a hell of a talent though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
Very talented guy, and I guess Daniel Radcliffe learned how to play the accordion a little bit for the role, and it's not him doing the vocal performance in the movie. When you hear the singing,
yeah, no.
it is Weird Al who's doing, but he lip sings it pretty fine. I think they do it pretty.
He does. There are actually a couple points in the movie where I was wondering, that's a little off. I think this would be well within this kind of movie for them to just jokingly have him be very bad lip singing, and it's just Weird Al singing over it. It would be well within just all right, just do it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, but yeah, solid tune in on my.
So 3 tune-ins for Weird Al movie.